Thank you for joining me in this webinar today on trouble with writing. Okay, I am Siti Asjamia, lead educational therapist based at Tampines Learning Center. I'm also an associate lecturer at the DAS Academy. Okay, it gives me great pleasure today, okay, to be sharing with you some tips, okay, on how you can support learners who struggle to write. Okay, so if it's all right with everyone, let's take a look at what we'll be covering today. Okay, now, um, a lot of us actually know what writing is, but have probably not asked ourselves what kind of cognitive processes and skills actually go into the task of writing, right? So an awareness of these skills, okay, and the processes that go into writing, okay, will allow us to better understand why learners with dyslexia and specific learning differences, okay, struggle with writing, right? So writing is an essential aspect of communication. Okay, it's actually a practical life skill that every one of us should have. Okay, in order in our day-to-day living. All right. So I'll be sharing with you, okay, how we can better support learners who struggle to write, as well as some examples of writing apps and accessibility tools that learners with specific learning differences can explore to help them, okay, in writing. Okay. Okay, let's just start by asking ourselves, what exactly is writing? Right? So writing actually has to begin first with having a thought or an idea, all right? And then the ideas and thoughts that we have are usually driven by a specific purpose, okay, that could be meaningful to an individual, okay, meaning it could be to fulfill a personal need, okay, to serve as an emotional outlet, or it could be to express or to advocate a cause, okay, and in so doing, okay, it would probably be fulfilling a social purpose, okay. But ideas and thoughts, okay, would not be meaningful to the reader and the audience who's listening to you, okay, if they are not able to follow, if they do not follow or adhere to certain widely recognized conventions of language. Okay, and this is where the monitoring and control of a structure, okay, in terms of grammatical rules, would have to come into the picture. Okay, so ideas and thoughts, okay, will just remain as symbols, okay, or words if the message, okay, and the contextual meaning is not effectively conveyed, okay, to the audience or to whoever is reading the writing. And to do that, we need structure and rules. All right. So this is where the monitoring, okay, monitoring and control comes into the picture. Okay. And then these are then translated, okay, on paper via a symbolic representation, okay, using letters of the alphabet, okay, or any other symbols used in language, right? So in short, okay, writing is actually the process of using symbols, okay, which is, it could be letters of the alphabet, it could be your punctuation marks, okay, it could be the spaces in between, right? And these are used to communicate the thoughts and ideas that you have in a what we call a readable form. Okay, so that is writing, a basic understanding of writing. Okay. Okay, so what does it take to write actually? Lots of multitasking. Okay, so in addition to thinking about ideas, okay, learners have to also pay attention to what we call structure. Okay, so structure relates to how words are arranged and positioned in a sentence, how sentences make up a whole paragraph, that is structure. Okay, organization, how different text types, okay, might have a different structure, okay, might have a different way of organizing ideas. All right, the sequence, but the sequence of ideas, okay, have to be in a logical form in order for the audience or the reader to understand. Okay, and then we have what we call the mechanics. Okay, what exactly are mechanics? Okay, so this might include capitalization, use of capital letters, okay, where it should be, all right? And then the use of punctuation marks, appropriate punctuation marks, because okay, punctuation marks are actually symbols that quite often how do I say, disregarded, okay, because it's just they are very small, okay, and they are often overlooked, okay, when we read, okay, so punctuation, right? Spelling, okay, and of course, the grammatical rules that we use in probably tenses, okay. Some examples, some of the examples would be subject verb agreement, okay. So all these are actually go into the mechanics of writing, okay. And then, of course, appropriate selection of words that we use in order to convey the message that we want to bring across. Okay, so we cannot just pay attention to just one aspect at a time. Okay, we have to apply all of this, right? We have to basically very often writers will have to juggle, okay, with all of these elements simultaneously at the same time. Okay, there's a lot of multitasking to do, a lot of things to think about. Okay, so for the learner with specific learning differences with dyslexia, okay, generally, and also language difficulties, okay, owing to their phonological and language processing difficulties, along with maybe poor memory, okay, poor organizational skills, and some may actually also have additional motor issues affecting handwriting. Okay, so they generally struggle with technicalities in writing. Okay, for example, they might make very frequent, numerous errors in spelling and grammar. Okay, you may also find that their written expression, okay, usually mirrors their spoken expression, because they have difficulty sometimes code switching. Okay, verbal and written expression, it may not be automatic, right? And then they might have also they might have difficulties, okay, with word retrieval as well, okay, due to maybe a lack of reading exposure, a lack of spelling confidence. You may find that learners with dyslexia and language difficulties, they tend to use the same words over and over again. All right, so really writing requires a huge amount of mental effort. Okay, so because of that, okay, they tend to lack the motivation, they tend to avoid writing tasks. Okay, having said that, um, they need to learn how to write. Okay, it is a need, it is a necessary skill, it's an important life skill. Okay, they need it for communication and they need it to engage with others. So how can we actually motivate and support them in this area? Okay, so to begin with, we can probably think about the process of developing writing skills in learners with dyslexia and specific learning differences as occurring in these three phases. Okay, so in phase one, okay, you might want to, this is where you can introduce, okay, and explain probably a new language item or concept, okay, one at a time, okay? And it can be presented in small parts. Okay, for example, you may actually introduce nouns and verbs as separate grammatical elements, one at a time. Okay, you can also explain how both nouns and verbs, okay, combine together to form a whole or a complete sentence. Okay, so this is what we mean by you can introduce concepts in parts or whole. All right. And then once you have done that, this is where you can move the learners to the next phase, which is the practice phase. Okay, so under this practice phase, it is where you need to model, you need to show them, okay, how to apply the concept or a skill. For example, how to write a complete sentence, where explain to them, show them where exactly nouns and verbs are positioned in a sentence, where the subject should be, where the object should be. Okay, and then this is also where you can encourage, if you have like more than one learner, if you're attending to more than one learner, you can get them to work collaboratively. Okay, you as a teacher can also collaborate with your learner as well. Okay, How you can do this is you can actually help them to scribe their ideas. Okay, if they have difficulty with spelling, you can also help them with spelling some of the words. You can also make them or provide them with a list of helping words for them to use. Okay, this is where you can come in. You can provide the support. Okay, so for this part here, for this phase, the learner is practicing the skill with your guidance. Okay, and then um, the final stage, the final phase is where the learner might already have had ample practice, okay? And for him or her to be able to produce, to be able to write probably their own complete sentence, okay? So by this time, the child would have had sufficient practice already. So this phase would generally focus on developing automaticity and fluency. Okay, so okay, earlier on I mentioned about practice. Okay, I mentioned about collaborative work, right, between learners and also between you and the learner. So this is where what we mean by joint construction. Okay, the shared pen approach, where you share the writing activity. Okay, with the learner. Okay, you provide support for the learner whenever the learner requires it. Okay, okay, so to lay the foundation for developing writing skills, okay, learners need to be first exposed to reading and various text types and genres of writing. For example, not just storybooks. Okay, it's not enough to just give them storybooks to read. You might want to provide them with exposure to online news, letter format, how to write letters, diaries, how to write journals. Okay, posters, advertisements. All these are different genres and different text types, requiring different text types. Okay, you might want to also build a thinking and oral language base. Okay, what this means is that you can actually use different types of media. Okay, pictures, you can use different kinds of text, you can use videos, okay, to generate discussion. Okay, a lot of ideas can be born out of engaging learners in verbal discussion. Okay, encourage learners to express their opinions, okay, maybe express their own feelings, what their thoughts are about a certain situation, okay, that is demonstrated in story, get them to share their personal experiences, allow them to relate to the topic and to their own situation. Okay, let them understand how these discussions are actually very important, okay, in helping them come up with their own ideas to write. Okay, you might want to also model the practice of asking 5W1H questions if learners are quite are not very forthcoming in terms of their expression. Okay, you might want to ask lots of questions. Okay, encourage the learner to express his thoughts and ideas in complete sentences where possible. Okay, so at this stage, I would like to reiterate, okay, at the foundation stage, it would be good actually to build their awareness of what nouns and verbs are. Okay, that's the basic parts of speech that they need to know. 40% of English language are made up of nouns. Okay, so it would be important for them to have good knowledge of the different types of nouns, okay, and verbs. Okay, they make up a huge chunk of the expression that we use in a single day. Okay, and also highlight, okay, the significance of punctuation marks as well, what they are for, okay, and the difference they can make to meaning. Okay, okay, so for learners who are just beginning to write, okay, or struggle to even get started, okay, we can careful them and support them at the initial stage, okay, using sentence frames, okay, or what we call fill in the blanks kind of text, like this. Okay, so all they need to do is just think of a word and then fill in the blanks. You might also want to provide helping words, okay, in case if they do not know how to spell or they can't think of any ideas. So you may want to provide the scaffolding in that manner, provide them with helping words. Okay, so this stage, they don't really have to write incomplete sentences. Okay, all they need to do is just fill in the blanks. Okay, with either words or short phrases. Okay, so you can also teach new words like, for example, this one. Okay, family. Okay, and then have the learner use the word, integrate the learning of the new word with a writing activity. Okay, so you can see here. Okay, the learner has just learned how to spell the word family, and in this writing activity, she is repetitively using the word family, okay, to fill in the blanks, right? So this helps the learner to put the word in context, okay? You can also do otherwise do a thematic approach, okay, where learners can learn and gain exposure, okay, to words associated with certain themes. Okay, you might want to for very young learners like P2s, P3s, P1s even, okay, you can teach vocabulary using different themes, like for example about themselves, okay, about their families, about school, their favorite activities. Okay, so you can actually engage them in such thematic activities to develop vocabulary and spelling as well. Okay. Um, yeah, so other suitable things might be things that can interest them, like for example, games, all right, food, right? Yeah, so this format here that you see, the learner is required to look at a picture prompt. Picture prompt is provided, okay, for learners who love to color, who love to draw. Okay, you can entice them with a coloring activity, and then from there, encourage them to write a sentence based on what they see. Okay, and then you can see here tricky words. Okay, they can actually use the tricky words or rather the helping words here to help them in constructing the sentence. Okay, this part here uh, uh, provides room for them to self-monitor. Okay, did they begin their sentence with a capital letter? Did they have finger spacing in between words? Okay, did they use the appropriate punctuation marks? Okay, so these are all they have check boxes here. There are check boxes for every reminder. Okay, so every time when they finish checking, they can tick box. Okay, so these are some samples of activities that you can engage in at the beginning, at when the learner is experimenting, okay, exploring writing words, phrases, or even like really basic sentences. Okay, so uh, you for learners who struggle to come up with ideas, you can use picture prompts. Okay, pictures can provide them with the stimulus. Okay, to generate ideas. Okay, so when showing them pictures like this, you can actually use the 5W1H questions. Okay, so for example, yeah, so one thing I'd like to highlight when engaging learners in simple writing activities like this, do get some post-its ready. You know, those small, colorful post-its, right? Okay, why post-its? They are very mobile, okay, and you compare post-its with writing paper, okay, it's a lot less intimidating, right? Okay, so huge paper with or without writing lines can be intimidating for early writers. So you might want to just provide small pieces of paper for them to write words. Okay, so for, let's say you have the first picture here. Okay, you might want to prompt the learner with questions. Okay, you may begin by asking who, or what do you see here? Okay, so I see a cat. Okay, let's say, for example, let me write it down. Okay, so let's say this is a post-it. Okay, I see a cat. Hang on just a minute. Okay, let me draw a bigger box. Okay, a cat. Okay, so what is it doing? Okay, cat sits. Okay, where is it sitting? Oh, on a mat. On a mat. Okay, so let's pretend that these post-its are actually separate post-its, 3 separate post-its. So once they have written down the words, or once you have scribed for them, what you can encourage them to do is to arrange the post-its in order, okay, to form a complete sentence, for example. Okay, so this is this is a sample of initial activities that you can engage learners in for those who struggle to get started, for those who tend to be task avoidant. Okay, so provide them with post-its. Okay, you might want to take turns. Okay, let's say I write one word, then the learner writes another word. Okay, and then together rearrange the post-its to form a sentence. Okay, so that is one way you can do it. Um, and then if along the way, if they want to provide more details, you can actually encourage them to do so. You can get them to describe the appearance of the cat. Okay, what is the color of the cat? Okay, it's a gray cat. So they might want to add in more words. Okay, do encourage them to do that as well, right? So other than pictures like this, you can also use pictures of things that they encounter every day, okay, as inspiration or stimulus to write. Okay, so lots of kids actually now carry their own phones. They own their own phones, right? And they are so quick to want to take pictures. So why not use this opportunity, okay, to get them to take pictures, okay, using their handphones as incentive for them to write. Okay, they can take a picture of the food that they had during recess, maybe in school, something delicious, or they can actually like take a screenshot, okay, of a game, an interesting game that they played on their phones, okay, or yeah, they might have, let's say they might have gone on an excursion, school excursion to the zoo, or if they are with you at the zoo, encourage them to take photos. Okay, so this photos can serve as a stimulus for writing, right? Yeah. Okay, so from writing at word level, okay, or phrase level, we can then help them slowly make that transition, okay, to writing simple sentences. Okay, what you see on the screen here, okay, is actually an approach to developing writing. Okay, it is known as what we call project read. I'm not too sure whether you have heard about it before, but you might want to Google. Okay, it's called Project Read. Okay, it is uh it is a multi-sensory way of learning the basics of writing sentences, okay, through the use of symbols, okay, through the use of what we call sentence diagramming. So parts of speech, okay, the different parts of speech are represented by different shapes, different symbols, right? Uh, the one thing about Project Read is it enables a student, okay, who struggle with constructing sentences, um, a way to learn how to do so using a systematic approach. All right, so beginning with the first step, okay, the first step is where the learner is introduced to what we call a sentence frame. Okay, so it is important, okay, at this point, at this juncture, okay, for students to have an awareness that a sentence essentially has to start with a capital letter. And how that is represented is through this inverted V here. This inverted V here, okay, represents capital letter. It's represented by that mountain. Okay, that mountain there, okay, it represents a capital letter. Okay, and it ends with a full stop. Okay, over here. So in in our classes, okay, when we teach students with dyslexia how to write, how to construct sentences, we begin first by introducing them to this what we call sentence frame. This is the basic diagram, okay, sentence diagram that they have to learn, okay, at the initial stage. Okay, so they have to understand that uh, every sentence must begin with a capital letter and end with a full stop. So this is the basic sentence frame, right? So we can also tell them at this point of time that a sentence can also end with an exclamation mark, okay, or a question mark, okay. So apart from full stop, it could be an exclamation mark or a question mark. Okay, you can also turn this sentence framing activity into a hands-on activity. Okay, you can use ice cream sticks, you can use pipe cleaners, you can use colored paper, you can use, you get them to paste pipe cleaners and ice cream sticks, okay, to form the sentence diagram. Okay, so in attempting to write a sentence, okay, tell the learner that every good piece of writing, okay, will need to begin with a sentence. So a sentence essentially represents a complete idea. Okay. Okay. So step 2. Okay. Once they have been introduced to a sentence frame, okay, now that they know that a sentence represents a complete idea, and a complete idea can actually may just consist of a noun and a verb. Can you see here? So this is the noun, okay, and this is a verb. Okay, essentially a basic sentence, or what we call a bare bone sentence, okay, can comprise a subject, which is the noun, okay, and what we call an action predicate, okay, or an action verb. Okay, so at this point, any expression that is missing either one, either the noun or the verb, okay, is not a complete sentence. Okay, so if let's say you have the words my friend, okay, my friend is not a complete sentence because it doesn't have an accompanying action verb, right? So this is a phrase, this is not a complete sentence. So similarly, if you just have the word sings, okay, it is lacking a noun. Okay, it doesn't have an accompanying noun. So no one, there's no indication of someone singing, right? So this is not a complete sentence. This is not a complete idea. So this is just a word, okay? Or maybe sings in the bathroom, okay? There's only the action predicate, okay? And yeah, the verb phrase, but there's no subject, okay? So if that's the case, it is just a phrase, okay? It's incomplete. Right? So, but if you were to combine my friend sings, okay? So you have a noun, you have a subject, and then you have the verb, it's complete. Okay, so my friend sings, full stop, it is a complete idea. Okay, so do impress upon them this very important difference between a phrase and a complete sentence. Okay, so a bare bone sentence represents an idea in its simplest form, okay, consisting of just one noun and one verb, right? So, so basically, how this is represented in the sentence frame is, okay, so you might want to just okay, draw the symbol, okay, yeah, full stop, right? So the subject or the noun here, okay, is indicated using a horizontal line. Okay, so this is the subject. Okay, and this is the verb or action predicate, right? Yep. Okay, so step 3, this is where you introduce the action predicate. Okay, after introducing the subject, we now go to the next step, right? So the action predicate or the verb is represented, okay, with these mini mountains. Okay, so the learner will actually draw the mini mountains right below the verb. Okay, so you have the sentence structure like that. Okay, okay, and then hang on, like that. Okay, so this is basically how the sentence diagram would look like. Okay, so you have to begin with the mountain. Okay, Mary there, the noun at the beginning of the sentence, and then the action predicate or the action word. Okay, so you might want to accompany, at this point, you might want to accompany the idea with a picture, okay, so that the learner would be able to come up with words, with action words, or with nouns, appropriate nouns, right? So the subject could also be a pronoun. Okay, for example, instead of Mary, maybe we can have she. Okay, even if it is not someone's name, you still have to remind them that since she is at the beginning of the sentence, the S has to be capital letter. Okay. So she is still a subject, even though it is not someone with a name, right? Okay. So step 4, okay, this is where you can introduce the symbol for object. Okay, what is object? What is subject? Okay, subject is a noun that is indicated, that can be found at the beginning of a sentence. The object is usually at the end of a sentence. Okay, so the subject is more often known as the doer of the action, the one who does the action. The object, okay, is the receiver of the action. Okay, like for example, if you have like Jack ate donuts. Okay, Jack is the doer of the eating action, and donuts is the receiver of the eating. Okay, to explain to you. All right. So how the object is represented in a sentence diagram, it is through this very just now we have these mini mountains representing the action, right? And then from there, draw a curved line and then circle the object. Okay, so this is the curved line here, which directly leads to the circle, the not circle, oval. Okay, carries across to tell who or what is receiving the action. Okay, yeah. So if if you have sentences like this, Jack ate donuts. So in a sentence diagram, it will look like that. Okay, like so you have the okay. So these are your verbs, action words. I mean, action predicate, and then this is your action predicate as well. Yeah. So students can actually indicate the object using symbols like that. All right. So this is just a step-by-step way to introduce one element, one writing element at a time. Okay, very, very structured, extremely structured, but very progressive nonetheless, right? Okay, so once you have introduced the object, we would want the learner to be able to expand on the ideas that they produce, right? So this is where we can come in to introduce what we call the verb expander. Okay, the verb expander is also known as what we call adverbs. Okay, what are adverbs? Adverbs are words that describe how the action is done. Okay, so yeah, so in Project Read, these adverbs are known as verb expanders. Okay, so you see 4 words here, right? 4 question words here. Okay, so these 4 question words in Project Read, okay, is represented by a triangle. Okay, so every one of these question words will help the learner to expand, okay, to add more details to how the action is done. Okay, so for example, if you begin a sentence with, okay, frogs croak. Okay, frogs croak. So you have the subject here, okay, the noun, and then the action predicate here, right, the verb. Okay, so you might want to give the learner a verb expander question. How? Okay, so how did the frogs croak? Okay, the frogs croak loudly. So this word loudly answers the how question. Okay, so having done that, you might want to provide the learner with another triangle. Okay, another verb expander question relating to where. Okay, so so the frogs croak loudly where? Okay, or maybe in the backyard, or maybe in the pond. Okay, or by the side, by the riverbank, for example. Okay, so yeah, so every question word that relates to the verb, okay, would allow the learner to expand, okay, slowly expand, and probably see how will allow the learner to see how he can actually progress from just having 2 words in a sentence to many more words. All right, so he can actually visualize and see how his ideas expand, how his ideas grow. Right? Yeah. So again, best to use post-its. Okay. So yeah. So this is just an example of how you can do this in with the learner. Okay, have lots of post-its ready, colorful post-its. So so you might want to have like a generic sentence frame ready on maybe a piece of paper, drawing block paper, maybe. Okay, and then you have your different post-its to represent the different parts of speech. Okay, so maybe in this case, you have the yellow post-it to represent the subject, okay, or the noun. And then you have the purple post-it to represent the action predicate or the verb. Okay, and then you have the different other colored post-its to represent the different questions, verb expander questions that you can ask the learner in order to help the learner to come up with to provide more details. Okay. Yeah. All right. So this is expanding. Okay. So you can actually then build on what they have learned. Okay, in predicate expansion. Okay, by modeling how you expand ideas using 5W1H questions. Okay, like for example, you can actually bring in a question cube. Okay, to make it more fun. Okay, to make it more interactive, more tactile for them to answer, to expand on their ideas. Okay, like for example, if you have a picture of a monkey here, okay, so you might, okay, so who do you see here? Maybe a monkey, okay? A monkey, right? What is the monkey doing? Okay, maybe it's a banana, okay? And then when? In the morning, and then where? Or maybe on a tree, on the bench, okay? And then, yeah, it is hungry, okay? After that, what you can do is to cut this up, cut all these, okay, all these into separate little strips and get them to arrange, okay, everything in order such that it forms a sentence. Okay, so this is how you can make sentence construction very tactile, very interactive, very kinesthetic. Okay, otherwise, another way, what you can do is you can have like, they have 5 fingers, right? You can have like colorful stickers. You know, you can actually purchase these stickers from popular bookstore. Okay, so every sticker would have a question word. Okay, so when given a stimulus, like for example this one, okay, given a stimulus, like if you see picture of this boy here running, all right, so you might still you can actually use the sticker questions to encourage them to expand, okay, on their ideas. All right. Yep. So this is another way, okay, apart from using the sentence strips, right? Okay, so this is kinesthetic ways, okay, of forming sentence or expanding on ideas. Okay, okay, so that's sentence construction. Okay, um, spelling support. In terms of spelling support, there are also strategies to help. Okay, phonetically regular words. Okay, you can get them to break it up into smaller parts or syllables to help them with the spelling. Okay. Some of you might be wondering what are phonetically regular words. These are words that can be segmented and sounded out using phonics and spelling rules. Okay, they are regular words. Okay, words that are phonetically irregular, on the other hand, okay, may be more difficult, okay, for learners to read and spell. Okay, so unlike phonetically regular words, just as you guess, phonetically irregular words are words that you can't really apply phonics or spelling rules, okay, to decode and encode, right? So they cannot be sounded out using regular letter sounds. Okay, I mean, sweat not, all right? There are, although they might have to remember, they might have to use a bit of memory work, okay, to remember the spelling of irregular words, there are actually alternative strategies. Okay, there are memory strategies to help them. All right. So these are some examples of what you can do to 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 support them in their spelling efforts, especially with irregular words. Okay, you can get them to locate, okay, small words within big words. Okay, for example, the word believe. Okay, can you spot the word lie? Okay, so if they can spot a lie in the word believe, okay, this will help address the potential of them misspelling the word believe. Okay, believe it. I mean, I'm sure you might have come across learners who frequently misspell the word believe like that, right? Correct? Or maybe like that. Okay, so quite frequent. The word believe um has been misspelled. So this, remembering that there is a lie in the word believe, will help them to remember that, oh, it must be spelled with L-I-E before V-E. Okay, so B, lie, V-E. All right. Business is also another challenging sight word. Right. So to help them, can you locate the word bus, okay, in the word business? Okay, so if you can, maybe if you can remember you have to take the bus to do business, then yeah, you will remember to put the letters BUS um to spell the word business. Okay. So apart from finding small words in a big word, you can also compose mnemonics. Okay, what are mnemonics? Basically, these are some examples of how you can get them to remember challenging words. Okay, like for example, the word. Okay, if you look at this phrase, the first phrase, big elephants can always understand small elephants. Okay, if you put the beginning letters in every one of these words, it actually comes out to the word because. Right. So what you need to do for mnemonics is you need to attach a word to each letter, okay, such that it forms a phrase that you can easily remember. Okay, yeah. Maybe another example is the word laugh. Okay, okay, laugh. The word laugh is quite difficult to spell actually. So to help them, maybe you can have the mnemonics laugh and you get happy. So essentially, if they remember that whole phrase, that whole sentence, okay, laugh and you get happy, they have already spelled the word laugh. Okay. What do you think is the word for this one? What do you think is the learner trying to spell here? Every month, Bear ate 2 rats and 2 snakes. So if you put them together, if you put the beginning letters in every one of these words together, what do you get? So E, M, B, A. Okay, you have 2 R's, right? Another A, and then you have 2 S. Embarrassed. Okay, so every month, Bear ate 2 rats and 2 snakes. Just remember this phrase and they can spell the word embarrassed. Okay, so once you get the learner to practice spelling these words, okay, you might want to encourage them to create a spelling directory, or you might want to create to have a word wall. Okay, create a word wall in their bedrooms. Okay, you can organize them categorically in terms of in alpha order, or maybe in terms of yeah. So this is basically just for their own visual reference. Okay, so this is spelling support that you can provide for learners. Vocabulary, okay, similar to spelling. Okay, some learners might have difficulty with word retrieval, maybe because of a lack of reading exposure, or maybe a lack of spelling confidence, right? So similar to spelling, learners can also try to keep a record of what we call ready to use vocabulary for different kinds of situations that can help them with spelling. Okay, so you can explicitly teach new words using word maps like that. Okay, so for example, in this example here, the word that the child is trying to, the word that the child is being introduced to is clandestine. Okay, so clandestine, what does clandestine mean? Okay, clandestine means, okay, explain. Okay, explain to the child, oh, clandestine means you do something that you do not want other people to know. Okay, like doing things secretly. Okay, so what are other possible words that can, words that you know, you already know, you are familiar with, that have a similar meaning to the word clandestine. Okay, so maybe secret or sneaky, quiet or private. Okay, get them to list the words here, and then maybe draw, okay, draw their an example, a visual representation of their understanding of the new word, and then encourage them to write their own sentence with it. Okay, so if they're not confident, you might want to provide a sample first. Okay, provide them with a sample first, and then from there, get them to think of another idea to use the word clandestine. Okay, so what you can see here is just another template, okay, for you to use in order to introduce new words. Okay, alternatively, you can actually also use what we call semantic maps like this. Okay, semantic maps is where learners can use their prior knowledge, to create links, okay, with other words according to semantic categories. Okay, so the original word here is actually oranges. Okay, you see how um, through okay, so what you might want to facilitate is a discussion. Okay, so you bring in a real orange. Okay, bring in a real orange, and then encourage your learners to come up with words to describe it. Oh, okay, maybe maybe the child might come up with, oh, it is healthy, or vitamins. Okay, so help the learner to construct semantic subcategories. Okay, to draw connections. All right, so this is semantic map. The other one, the earlier one, is just specific to the word maps. Okay. Okay, so you would realize by now, okay, that it takes a lot of effort, a lot more effort, okay, for dyslexic learners to produce a piece of writing work, okay, compared to their typically developing peers. So you can actually support them in their initial efforts by becoming a scribe for them. Okay, help them to write down their ideas. Okay, and simply because, okay, knowing that they have very poor memory, by the time they write, the ideas would have already disappeared. Okay, so help them, be the scribe for them. Okay, make it a point to acknowledge and praise them for the effort and the time that they invest. Okay, yes, although it is tempting, okay, to always eyeball and correct their every error, okay, trust me, they cannot remember everything that you point out. All right, it will just diffuse and dissipate. Okay, by the time you finish. All right, so another thing is, pointing out, highlighting their errors can also discourage them emotionally. Okay, so spare your effort. Okay, focus on what is most important for them to attend to and address one area of weakness at a time. Okay, do allow them to use apps and accessibility tools wherever possible. Okay, it reduces their frustration, okay, and dependence on you. That's most important. Technology is there for a purpose, so why not use it, right? Okay, let them discover, okay, that writing is not just pen and paper or related to homework or exams. Okay, provide them with a different experience, okay, using multi-sensory, tactile, kinesthetic pathways and different mediums for presentation. Okay, for example, you can use they can use apps, they can use softwares. Okay, they can maybe sticky notes, play games, and also to earn rewards as well. Okay. Okay. So writing, okay, being a medium of communication, okay, should be meaningful beyond homework and exams. Okay. For a start, for those of you who are parents, you can actually model leaving special surprise messages of encouragement. Okay, not just simple reminders. Okay, surprise messages. Okay, you can leave it in their school bags, on their study tables, under their pillows. You can put it in their toy boxes, on the fridge, places that they frequently access, okay, at home. Hopefully, this effort of yours, okay, will motivate them to also want to do the same in return. Okay, so you just need to make attractive writing materials available around the house. Okay, you could also show them how they can write simple instructions. Okay, like leaving messages for family members on the fridge, for example. Okay, yeah. So another activity you can try is writing what we call acrostic poems. This is an example of an acrostic poem. Okay, you can see that it's constructed using a child's name, right? This is quite fun, right? One thing about acrostic poems, they don't really have to follow any rules. Okay, the lines need not have a rhyming pattern. Okay, so this form of acrostic poem actually put students or put the learners, okay, in control of their ideas and their own writing. Okay. Okay. So other examples of activities you can engage them in, you can also you can encourage them to draw cartoons, okay, if they like to draw, and have the characters speak to each other, okay, using speech bubbles. Okay. And then when if you happen to be engaging them in a family game, for example, let them have a hand, okay, at writing game instructions, okay, or rules or clues, okay. So all this is actually writing, all right. So if their intent is to play with friends or to trick or to pose a challenge, they can write riddles like these. Okay. They can also craft simple phrases or sentences for games like charades. Okay. I mean, you need to write, right, in order to be able to come up with all these materials, right? Yeah. So all that is writing. All that demands writing, right? Yeah. Okay, so if we have learners, okay, who say, I don't know what to write, you can actually use pictures, okay, to stimulate thinking and conversation. So I don't know whether you've come across wordless books before. I have actually provided a link, okay, to the wordless books. Okay, wordless books are actually an excellent way to start. To encourage learners to initiate ideas. Okay, how this works is that these picture books actually have no words provided to tell the story. So you can actually encourage your child or the learner to look at the pictures and tell the story in their own words. Okay, so this can begin with a verbal conversation first. Okay, and then later followed by writing. Right? Yeah. So wordless books are also excellent for developing comprehension skills also, right? Yeah, so again, this puts the learner in control. Okay, the learner can tell the story based on his or her own interpretation of what is seen page after page. Okay, so if the learner doesn't want to write sentences, never mind, no problem. Can write speech bubble. Okay, can write speech bubble here. Speech bubble. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so these are the links, okay, to some of the sites that you can use to motivate your learners. All right. So other than wordless books, we also have links to writing prompts and fractured fairy tales. I do not know whether you have heard of fractured fairy tales. Okay. Basically, these are what we call, another word for it is twisted fairy tales. Here, readers can actually explore making changes to existing renowned fairy tales. They can combine characters, for example, in Ugly Duckling, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs together, okay, and change the whole story, change the setting, change the plot, okay, get them to be creative, okay, about how they want the storyline to be. All right. Okay, so what I am going to share with you now is actually a sample of an online writing app that you can explore. Okay, so this is Story Dice. The link is provided here. So maybe to just show you an example. Yeah, so I'll just play it, right? So if you're able to access this site, basically the you have a row, the site provides you with a row of 5 picture prompts. Okay, you can actually roll the dice, roll it according to as you like. Okay, you can even choose to have 9 dice version also, right? So basically what you need to do is if you have a group of students, you can have you can actually encourage them to verbalize their ideas based on one picture at a time that they see, and then have it all connect together to form a complete story. Okay. Yeah, so you can have the option of swapping the different dies, the different pictures as well, if you like. Okay. Okay, so the other thing, the other one that I would like to share with you is what we call this plot generator. Okay, it can help you draft a plot quickly. Okay, just want to show you. So there are different types of writing genres that you can select. You can choose to write a short story. You can use to write a movie script. Okay, you can even choose a picture book. Okay, so maybe here just to show an example, this okay, the child can maybe try to access a picture book. Okay, and then it will allow you to make some selections here. Okay, so just to provide you with an example of how you can key in the options. They can even suggest make suggestions, right? Yeah. So basically, it is attempting to create a book for you. Okay, based on the choices that you make in terms of the character, in terms of the word choices, right? Okay. Oops. Sorry, don't mind the noise. Okay, so let's take a look at yeah. Okay, so this is the final product. Okay. Yeah, so you can see that a book has been created already based on your selection, based on the child's selection. Okay, so the child can also have the option of printing this out in PDF format as well, if he or she likes it, right? Yeah, so this is a story that the child constructs, okay? Yeah. Okay, other than this, we also have what we call accessibility tools, okay? Just want to point out to you, co-writer is one of them. Okay, if I were to just, okay, co-writer actually helps with spelling. Okay, it also helps students who have uh, difficulties with, okay, apart from just writing, allow the child to also have the experience of typing. Okay, so let's take a look at what co-writer can do to help.
CoWriter is a predictive text generator. Once CoWriter is turned on by clicking on the toggle, it automatically starts to predict what I want to write.
Typing. Start typing here.
As you notice, as I type, the program reads what I've typed. I can also enable the text-to-speech feature. This feature is especially useful for students who struggle to type. And I can enable that by clicking on the microphone here and clicking on the microphone in the box. Please start typing here, period. And I click the microphone again for it to stop listening to me.
Okay, yeah. So hang on, sorry. So this app helps with for students who have difficulty penning down the ideas that they have in their head. Okay, so all they need to do is to just say it, okay, and the app can actually transcribe it, okay, and yeah. So this is um available as a Chrome extension, right? The other one, is available as an app on the smartphone. So my students, especially my secondary school students, use this a lot in class as well. Okay, so I encourage them to download the app. It's free anyway. Okay, so what they need to do is to just speak, say the word that they want to use, and they have difficulty spelling in their writing, and then the app can actually spell out the word for them, and they can just copy down the word. Okay, so this apps actually reduce their dependence on you as a parent and on teachers as well. Okay, so that's Live Transcribe is available as an app that is downloadable free on your smartphone. Okay, okay. The last the last accessibility tool that I would like to introduce to you is actually what we call the Quillbot. Okay, Quillbot is essentially a paraphrasing tool. Okay, it's actually good for learners with weak vocabulary, who has difficulties with word retrieval and spelling difficulties as well. Okay, so just want to show you how this works. Okay, right. So let's say I type the word, the quick brown fox jumped over the moon. Okay, so you can actually choose to paraphrase the whole sentence. You can highlight it, and the system can actually, yeah. So the app can actually provide you with a different way of expressing that idea, okay, that sentence. Okay, and then you can also have the option of highlighting single words. For example, if you don't like the word quick, you know, okay, just bear with me for a while. Okay, so these are different ways. Yeah, the different, okay. So let's say if, yeah, okay, let's say you don't want to use the word quick. The word quick has been overused, okay? And the child is not sure what other words to use, okay? You can see that the app actually suggests other words that they can use complete with descriptive phrases, okay? Yeah, so this helps learners with who are seeking alternative ways to express their ideas, but are um, maybe hindered, okay, by spelling, a lack of spelling confidence, and also word retrieval issues. Okay, yeah. So this is Quillbot is an excellent tool. Okay, you can use. Right. Okay, so this is my last slide, and as a parting note, okay, I would like to encourage you to reflect and think about the process of your children and students learning to write, like very equivalent to how they first learn to walk, their first few steps, okay, or climb the staircase or even ride a bike. Okay. Um, I mean, little and often is really, really key, okay, when developing writing skills. If they can write 1 or 2 sentences every day in a journal to share about how the day went and how they felt about it, that's good enough. Okay, you can also provide them with a password of the day, okay, that they have to unlock. Or you can also put an object in a box on their table, okay, and get them to write about anything connected to that word or the object. All right, they can have opportunities to learn multiple meanings of a word too. Okay, so writing really is a process of growth, okay, and a journey with a super long runway. Okay, it needs time, okay, and certainly lots of support and encouragement before learners can eventually do it on their own. Okay, so yeah, so at the same time, do try to encourage them to read regularly. Okay, or you can also read to your child. Okay, it is through reading, okay, that they can get some ideas and they can acquaint themselves with good use of language. Okay, so I am providing you with some links to interactive writing website and apps. Okay, do let me know if you would like to have a copy of these slides. Okay, yeah. Okay, so I have actually come to the end of this sharing. Thank you so much for your attention, your time, and your patience. Yeah, you are welcome to ask any questions if you have. I'll try my best to answer them. Okay. Just to let everyone know, there is an upcoming certificate in supporting SPLD learners in English exam skills paper 2 coming up on the 29th of May, end of this month. Okay, the first week of the June holidays. So do check out our website. All right, if you're interested to attend. There are lots of tips and strategies that we can share with you on how you can better support your children, okay, or your learners in English paper 2, one of the most challenging papers. Yeah, yeah, same color. Okay, okay. Yeah, we have a question here. I'm wondering if the post-its must be the same color each time. Oh, do have different colors. Please have different colors. All right, to distinguish the different parts of speech. Right. I hope that answers your question, Jasliana. For upper primary students, you can actually use the same technique, project read, Okay, if learners actually, I mean, some learners might already be familiar with the basic parts of speech. Okay, if they are already familiar, then sentence diagramming might not help them as much. So you might want to stick to just the, if you want them to expand on their ideas, you might want to use the 5W1H questions instead. Yeah, so for the upper primary students, they might already have awareness, so the sentence diagramming might not be useful. Yeah, so feel free to just stick to the 5W1H questions. Yeah. Okay. A few more words on Quillbot, please. A few more words. Okay, what do you mean, Roslan? Okay, you can actually download this as an app, and Quillbot is actually you can add it to as a Chrome extension. Yeah, you can add Quillbot as a Chrome extension. So whenever if you are engaging students in typing, okay, maybe yeah, so they can actually use this app to help them with paraphrasing, word retrieve, to use for them to have access to other alternative words that they can use. Yeah. Maybe not Quillbot, but live transcribe, yes. Not Quillbot, but live transcribe, yes. Yeah, so we are now we now focus on just the part one, which is preparing students for paper two. Yes. So paper two actually has a much bigger weightage. So we find that it is really, really important to support students in this paper. Yeah.
Okay, I think I also want to draw attention to the ADHD workshop that's coming up
Okay.
at the end of the month, because
27, right?
other than dyslexia, students with ADHD do struggle with writing as well, because we heard from Siti that it's really a multi faceted process, and there are many things going on at the same time. So students with ADHD will find it hard to write as well. And sometimes in that, there will be spelling errors, but the spelling errors are not due to, the child being dyslexic. It can be an attentional issues. So ADHD does lead to some difficulties in writing as well. So if you have learners with ADHD, you might want to attend the workshop that's coming up at the end of the month, and it's delivered by Tina, who's the Vice President of Spark, a parent support group in Singapore, ADHD parent support group in Singapore. Yeah, and I think other than all these workshops and certs that are run by ourselves, we also have this collaboration with NCSS, where we deliver 7 certificates that are Skills Future credits eligible. So, and these 7 certs are also 70% funded by SSG, which means that you only pay 30%. But that 30% can be paid using Skills Future credits if you still have some balance. Okay, yeah, so do check this courses out on our website. Okay, looks like I think we have no more questions, but anyway, you all know where to reach Siti and us. So yeah, Siti, your email is on the slides, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
So we'll email them the slides, and then they can contact you if they have other questions.
Further questions, yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, so thank you so much. Yeah, Siti, your last words.
Yeah. We have come to the end of the webinar. Thank you so much for your time and paying attention. Do feel free to drop me a note yeah, on my email, okay? In case you have any questions, okay? I'll be happy to answer any of your queries. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today.